Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Microsoft Zero to Hero community. It's another weekend, and we have another session. I'm Shahab, the host for tonight's session, and I hope you're having a great time wherever you are on this blue planet and enjoying your time with your family. Tonight we are going to have a strong session. We weren't streaming that much this year, but we are starting, and it's gonna be a very strong start. If you want to follow the news and us, you could go to microsofthero.com and you could connect with us on different social medias and have the news on LinkedIn, YouTube, or X. And you could also follow us on techcommunity.microsoft.com. We are part of the Microsoft Learn. And this is a community built by the community, and we are getting together to share the knowledge and our learnings together. And we have a code of conduct. It's simple. Just be respectful, be curious, and listen each other's opinion. Tonight's session would be about use AI to build AI without losing our minds, which seems great because these days everyone is losing their minds around AI. And we are going to talk about Aspire. And Maddy Montaquila, if I hope pronounced correctly the name. And she's a principal product manager at Microsoft and Aspire. Let's welcome her on the stage. Hi, Maddy. Welcome.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Sorry, I'm trying to get my slides to show up in presenter mode.
Well, good. You have the time. So Aspire is a tool that we could use for those who don't know. I hope everyone on the stream knows, but that's fine. That you could use in your development toolbox to streamline a lot of hard activities that you had before. And it's really amazing. I've been using one of the skills that was provided by the team, Aspirify, and it works amazing in a non.NET world, actually. And I used it like to streamline my work with 3 projects, 2 databases, some brokers in between, and it is really great. So I don't want to keep everyone here. Let's get inspired. Maddy, if you have any words, go for it, and then the stage is yours.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. So it looks like I was able to share my PowerPoint separately than my screen. So we'll start with that, and then I'll tell you when it's over. Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
So legit. Hi, everybody. Thank you for the intro, and thank you for having me. And hello, Aspire channel as well. We're not doing an Aspire Fridays, which is our usual Friday shenanigans, because next week is Microsoft Build. And we are releasing a new release of Aspire on Monday. So hopefully, based on the way it's been going, we will see. We will see. But I'm going to do a bit of an intro to Aspire and what it is, and then we're going to talk about a couple different SKUs of AI, right? The using it, building for it, and how Aspire is kind of doing all of that, both as an engineering team and in our product. So I first gave this talk in March, and I opened it like everything has changed so much, and here's all we've learned. And when I went to like kind of start to reuse the slides, I realized that everything had changed so much again since March that I could not even reuse the slides. So yeah, we're gonna go mostly demo. I'm also, because we're shipping a release on Monday, I'm currently building Aspire from source to show this demo, because we reworked the Microsoft Foundry integration last night, and I want to show it because it's awesome.
Oh, great. Yeah. So everything's super new, guys.
Yes, we're running on like the hottest of bits on this demo. So you're gonna have to bear with me as we go, but we'll do slides first, and hopefully my machine figures it out in the meantime.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
Love it. Okay, so when we talk about AI and building AI, oh, what's up, Rasmus? Hi, everybody.
Yeah, surprise.
When we talk about AI as a thing that we have to care about as employees, right? Wherever we are, there's a bunch of different ways we talk about it. People just say, use more AI, do more AI. And the way I like to think about it is that there's using AI to do my job faster or better or whatever, or sloppier, if you will. You know, I call myself a professional slopperator. That's just how it goes now. But there's using it. There's building AI-enabled customer experiences, which is, especially if you're working at a bigger company, everyone's like, put a chat bot in there, or like, how can we use AI to help our customer service or our SRE, or insert AI-able thing here. And then if you're in this weird Venn diagram that we're in the developer tools or the frameworks or the platforms industry, or maybe that you're a platform engineering team in your company, you also have to build for AI. So build experiences for developers to use AI better in their dev loop. And it can be really confusing because when you put like AI on a slide, really hard to tell which one of these you're talking about. And they sometimes overlap, but they don't always interact, and they're all moving fast and at different paces. And so we on the Aspire team have been, I don't know, we're calling ourselves an AI native team, if you will, an AI forward team. But the whole premise of Aspire as a product, and Shahab, you could probably explain Aspire better than I do at this point, but
yeah, go ahead. Or should I describe it? I mean, I used
actually no. Go ahead. I would like to see you explain it. Let's see
okay.
how it goes.
Well, I'm not sure if I could explain it like very properly. It's just coming from my experience. So since the Aspire was out, I was like trying like to have a hands-on, even like on the very early versions. And it helped me like a lot in different scenarios. For example, I had like a distributed application and I was working on data synchronization between different parts of the systems. And I wanted to figure out like where are the bottlenecks, because we need like to ship a lot of data, especially on initial synchronization, when you have like, I don't know, 3 million, 10 million records that you need to ship from one database to the other one. And I used like the whole dashboard, the observability and all of those things, because I couldn't ship like anything to the production environment and see how they are working. So we have kind of these things on our local machine and like trying to simulate the things to figure out, okay, where are the memory leaks, where are the bottlenecks and all of those things. And it really helped me like with the observability feature, with bringing up all the environments that I needed, like from like the Kafka broker that we had to 3-4 services that all of them needs to be up and running like simultaneously. It was like at the beginning, because it was like I think 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, that I started to use that.
Yeah.
It was at that point still .NET Aspire, like or very early ages of that.
Yep.
And it was like hitting a F5 button and everything was up and running. And then I could be focused on like finding the problem that I wanted to solve instead of like challenging with YAML files all the time, you know.
Yep.
And recently I used it in a non.NET projects. Again, like I wanted to bring up the whole project and infrastructure. I didn't have any AI, but I used AI to tell and I used the Aspirify skill, as I told you before.
Yep.
Yeah. And my prompt was, I have these 3 projects and I have 2 databases and a broker. I don't know how to run even the projects. Just Aspire it with TypeScript for me, because the rest of the team were not doing C# and .NET. And it just worked.
I love that. It's so good.
Yeah.
I the whole premise of Aspire, like we've tried to think of a good metaphor for it, because that's kind of an easier way to describe it than what it is. The latest one is like apps are a city without a map. Like you're just you clone a repo and a modern repo. And when we say distributed app, we mean anything with a front end and a database, or a front end and an API. Anything with more than one piece that isn't a static website, right? Like 2 pieces that run, even if it's on the same compute, app service, whatever it is. It's got multiple things that start. And so Aspire wires all of these things together. We call it the glue of your stack. And then it lets you do a bunch of customization and dev time niceties and deploy time niceties, so that when you're building your app, when you clone a repo, you get all of these really good developer features. And then when you want to put that into deployment, whether that's using Aspire in our deployment or using some crazy CI or your team's custom built DevOps or whatever it is, that Aspire makes it really easy to hand off your entire app architecture. And you can run locally the same way that you run in prod.
Yes.
So
the amazing thing I liked is like I could use the language, like the programming language that I'm very familiar with, whether it's TypeScript or C#, right? And and handling all the environment variables, all the custom command lines that like the bash scripts and all of those things, they are just like maybe one line of code in my preferred programming language, right? And it just streamlines a lot those
Yep.
kind of activities, saving a lot of time.
Yep. Yeah, it's amazing. Let's see. So the latest sentence, we always talk about what Aspire is. We try to fit it into a sentence. Oh, my icons are all messed up. Oh no. Yeah, infrastructure is code. It is awesome. Yeah. Aspire is an agent-ready code-first tool to compose. We use that word very specifically. Compose, debug, and deploy any distributed app. And we put compose in there because it really is IAC. And when you think about IAC, infrastructure as code, you usually think of something like either Terraform and Pulumi and the deployment ones, or you think of something like Docker Compose, which is YAML and JSON based. YAML based, but there's also launch JSON and VS Code is JSON based. People use these untyped things all over the place. Yeah. So for us, what the big benefit of Aspire is it's typed, it's code. It's something that's compilable and debuggable, and you can hit a breakpoint and use editor refactorings and all of the things that make code really good. So yeah, that's okay. StreamYard doesn't like doing this slide thing, but that's okay. You guys get the point. Imagine there's a nice line between all these little dots, okay? Yes. The other thing that has been a big pivot for Aspire over the last really 6, 7, 8 months, but year, is making it agent first, agent native. Mm-hmm. Because everybody's using coding agents, whether you're totally bought in or you're a skeptic. I know that we all know that development has changed. So making sure that the tools that we give you to build your distributed applications are ready for agents to use, and also still are valuable in a world where hypothetically you can just type something into a prompt and it will just do it for you. What's the point of a developer tool then? Why do we have editors? Like, there's this whole existential crisis. But Aspire actually makes your agent way better. And although we've yet to get data for this, mostly because I don't know how, we believe pretty strongly, and we know anecdotally, that Aspire makes our coding agents better and more efficient. So,
well, I could confirm that from my experience. Again, like this recent experience that I had, I was using a coding agent, and I was always telling it, like, use Aspire to inspect the logs, use Aspire to inspect the traces, and use Aspire like to do all of those things to make sure that these kind of activities and what needs to be implemented is like publishing all those things and like measure these kind of performance things based on these traces. So yes, it understands it very well.
Yep. Hold on, I'm actually typing into my agent right now to get the latest updated branch. Yep. Yeah, we've had to pivot a lot because AI has changed a lot. And this time last year at Build, we were just about to ship Copilot in the Aspire dashboard, which we just recently removed, because why would you use something in the dashboard when you have a coding agent everywhere else now, right?
Yes.
So we spent all this time building this, and we love it. It's a great feature, but then we had to change everything because everything changed again. So we've been pivoting a lot with the industry. But yeah, in general, having a deterministic file with IntelliSense, like, that's the big thing, is agents can read language servers and read editors and say, oh, this literally isn't a valid thing I can do to this resource. It makes it so that the agent doesn't have to poke through and grep all of your source to figure out what's in the app and how they're connected to each other. It doesn't have to start a bunch of different processes. I'm rambling. I have a slide that like details all of this, but yeah, there's a whole lot of it. We'll look at it when we switch to code.
Should I switch to code, or is it
not yet? Not yet. Oh,
let me know.
The what is Aspire? What is it actually tangibly besides a sentence that sounds really good? Oh God, he's gone. Oh, he's back.
No, I'm here.
Is it's a CLI. So the Aspire CLI is really this control plane for the whole thing. It's the app host, which is that IAC manifest that runs everything. It is a set of integrations, which are what you pull into the app host to tell Aspire what you want to turn on. We'll talk a bit about integrations, not too much, but TLDR is literally anything can be orchestrated by Aspire. If we don't have an integration for it, and we have like 100 and something, so there's plenty, you can very easily build one. So, or just wire it up manually. So integrations are really our like opinions to make it easier to get started. And yes. And then the Aspire dashboard, which we'll spend a lot of time in today, which is a open telemetry based dashboard that runs locally. Meaning if your app emits OTel, which is pretty much the standard now, both for regular apps and now that we're getting into more generative AI, you can see that locally. You don't have to wait for it to go to prod to App Insights or Azure Monitor or insert tool here or Grafana, right? So, and you can actually use all of these things standalone. So you can use the Aspire app host in Visual Studio and never touch a CLI if you don't want to touch a CLI. Crazy for me, CLI girly at heart. But you can use the Aspire CLI to spin up the dashboard without having an app host at all and just plug your app into the app host. So, I mean, into the dashboard.
Double dash banner. Don't forget the double dash banner flag. It's amazing.
Yes. 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 You got to show the banner. The banner is great. Yeah. So it's all modular. So app host CLI, I'm going to click through these ones and we're going to get into. Oh, okay. This is the slide that I was rambling about that exists. Aspire's agent ready because we're giving it structure. There is a lot of markdown in the world right now. I think that is something everyone is dealing with. And we too have skills that are marked down. But what we do with Aspire is try to walk the line between both determinism and this should be the same every time. And the agent shouldn't have to figure this out. And this is how this works. And non-determinism. So in this case, it should use these commands to try and figure out what's wrong. And this is how it can fix something. And we do that through a bunch of things. The skills are the big way. We actually have a whole new set of skills coming on the release on Monday, which I'm really excited about, including one specifically for deployment. But agents, I think anyone who's been wielding coding agents, you know they love code, and you know they love to inspect source, and you know they love to F12 on a function and say, this is how this is implemented. And with Aspire, you get that. And then one command starts everything. So the agent doesn't have to do npm run dev and docker compose up and Python main.py and then make sure all the ports are correct and there's no conflicts and then keep track of 3 different terminal outputs. It starts it all with Aspire, and then we are able to give it the console logs and the telemetry for every individual resource when it asks. So it doesn't have to watch. It just has to ask and say what it wants, and we can give it back to it from our CLI. So that's I know everyone's like token conscious now. Like we're in the token days where everyone's like, oh my God, this is expensive. For me, that's been very helpful because instead of my agent having to get a ton of different console logs and feed them all into the context and then have that in the memory, it can just ask Aspire and get a much smaller subset. We have a lot of efficient stuff we can do. Like we're optimizing that flow still, but that's a very tangible use case for that. And then of course the OTel is great because your agents actually see the traces and the structured logs and the metrics. So they say, oh, the front end called the database and the database threw an error. And this is what the open telemetry log says. And here I'm going to fix it. And then I'm going to try it again. So we give it more eyes. Okay. Yes, please feel free to ask questions. We are going to talk really quickly about how the Aspire team is using AI before I jump into a demo. And yeah. Oh, hold on. I'm reading my texts. Fowler's the Aspire team is all hanging out. Hi, Aspire team. And Fowler told me every time I said stuff, he was going to text me because I say stuff a lot. That's 2 more. So that's what I'm getting texted about.
Oh, hi, David.
Oh God. Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Aspire team, heavily using Copilot and other AI coding agents. Right now, Copilot is our top contributor. I can also promise you that James Newton King has not written 106,000 lines of code, and Seb has not written 1.5 million lines of code by hand. So there are a variety of coding tools we're using. Copilot CLI, I think, is kind of the soup du jour. But the Copilot chat, the GitHub app that's now in private preview, everybody should check that out. The GitHub app is unreal. I am loving it. But we're using Copilot really heavily. And a lot of people, that makes you nervous because you're like, this is a product I use for my development lifecycle. I don't like to know that there is AI writing this. Or when I use AI or I try to use it at this level in my company with my team, it's not that good. Or it's always wrong, or the code isn't good. There's a bajillion excuses, and I get it. There's a lot of a learning curve to this. It's a whole new tool we're adding to our toolbox. So the question that we have been posing when teams ask us how we're doing it is, are you asking it to write code and generate code, or are you building your product and your team's workflow around AI as a collaborator or as a tool that you use? And there are a lot of theories and papers and things that people have written about this. The ones that I boil down to is that infra has become a feature. I was up late last night angry about how to switch between a PR build and a staging build, because this is now the most important thing for me to invest in, is trying out 5 different Copilot PRs, but also make sure that staging is ready to go.
Yeah.
Code is, we say cheap or free. People will say different things, but testing and reviewing PRs especially, is now the time sink. And there's team culture change that has to happen around that. Coding agents don't have eyes. Like, it only knows what you give it, and it only has so much context. So you have to tell it how to see the end to end when it builds and test its own work, or it'll just say, yeah, this compiles, I'm good to go. Like, what can we give it beyond a compiler? And then you have to let go a little bit. This has been harder for some people on our team than others. Some of us are ready to just like YOLO. Some people are more, I have to read every single line it writes. And that's okay for a bit. I think it's good for us to do that and go through that process. But if you're like, I don't think this is good, I'm going to take over, I guarantee you're going to mess something up, because like the AI smells fear. I believe this fully. I don't know how, but it does. And this has been a culture shift on the team a lot. Yeah.
Yes. Today we also had like the same sort of discussions. I like the analogy of like the code, the AI doesn't have eye, and you need like to provide it with something like to see what you're seeing and understanding. I think we also need to provide guardrails. I'm experiencing like when you don't have any guardrails, like the same that you lead a junior developer, for example, or you mentor it, you need like to put the same kind of work culture from your team to the AI to control like how it behaves and provides code.
Yeah, it's I like that, the overeager junior developer is that. I think Scott Hanselman was the first person I heard use that analogy, and I was like, that is exactly what it is. Because the AI, it's just gonna keep going until it works. But if it doesn't know what works means, it's gonna get itself all messed up.
Yes.
Some of what we do on the Aspire team, and we're all open source, by the way. So Aspire is open source and free to use and works great with Azure, but also other clouds, works with any language. So I'll give you links at the end. But what we do on the Aspire team that you're welcome to go look at in our repo is we have a variety of skills and instructions, and we have a lot of codified guardrails. So when I say codified guardrails, I mean things even like an editor config, like don't use tabs over spaces or whatever. The agent is able to see errors when it compiles. And so if there are compiler errors from an editor config or whatever it else, a linter, those things pop up and the agent is able to fix them. And skill-wise, we have a lot of things now for PRs, because PRs are becoming a big bottleneck. So review skills, we locked James Newton King in a room and we said, James, we need you to build a skill that reviews PRs like you do, because he is our most nitpicky PR reviewer. So now you can run PR review and get a preliminary analysis before I go in as a human and read the code myself and pick things apart myself.
But he's not writing the skills by hand himself. Probably is using also like an AI and just reviews.
Oh yeah. Skills, and most of our tests now are AI generated, human reviewed, human architected, I guess is a good way to put it. And then we have more dog fooding capabilities, especially as people have been doing more multi-agent sessions. So this is a big thing that the GitHub Copilot app, this new app does, is it does work trees. So if I have 4 different work trees with 4 different PR builds pulled out, how am I actually able to test all of that? How am I able to run 4 different PRs and all of the stuff that happens with it and make sure it works? I'll show you when we switch over to the demo in a minute. I'll show you like exactly what that looks like. And then shipping wise, one of the things we've put a lot of effort into most recently is a really strong coupling between our code and the Aspire repo itself, and then our docs repo, aspire.dev. And anytime we ship something or we put something into the release, are there docs for it? What docs need to be changed? What need to be updated and fixed, etc. So we have a lot of workflows around that. This didn't happen overnight. Talking about it all makes it sound very organized. Like we know exactly what we're doing. We do not. We have been iterating. That's the name of the game. We've had probably 1,000 iterations of this PR review skill. So we keep updating and learning and changing things, but that's my tangent on that. This doesn't just happen. You just got to start trying. Okay. Demo. Let's switch over to my screen and let's see what on earth state we have gotten into. Please. Okay.
Is it the one? I think so.
Nice.
We see
Love it.
yeah. GitHub.
Yeah, this is good. So I'm in dark mode. GitHub, yeah. Is dark mode okay? This is okay? I should ask before.
Yeah, it's fine. It doesn't attract punks at least.
That's true.
Sorry.
Okay. This is the Aspire repo. And I'm going to click in a PR because I want to show you some of the automations we have in here. Just quickly. Oh, my Wi-Fi is bad. We'll see. Omnideath, yeah. The Aspire OGs, and Shahab, you there were times where we shipped a bunch of stuff and we're like, the docs will come later.
Yeah.
It will come later.
Yes, here it is.
Yep. Yeah. We got there. We're much better now. Okay. So whenever anyone opens up a PR on Aspire, we have a bot that puts a script on, and the script pulls out that specific version of the CLI, the Aspire CLI, any packages and SDKs that we have, and hooks it up so that you can use this PR build in your whatever app you're building. So this is like my number one tip. This was one of the first things we did probably in like August. We were like, we're getting a lot more PRs now. We should make it easy to test these.
Yeah. Okay.
Every single team should figure out a loop to dog food your PRs without having to build from source so that you can do it in a separate app, right? Or that you can send it to customers and have them try it. So then we have a bunch of other automations. Of course, the standard Copilot coding agent review. There's reports that people can post if they use a specific skill. So this is coming up as if David posted it, but I can tell you, David Negstad, he's in the chat as well. I can tell you he did not type this out by hand. He would never type something this long by hand. That just would not happen. And then there's some other various automations, repo processes. Another really cool thing we do is because we have a command line and we use something called Hex1B, which has an emulation thing. I'm trying not to say stuff thing. And it has an emulation feature so that you can emulate CLI end-to-end experiences without having to like spin up the whole thing. So all of our CLI related changes get a set of end-to-end recordings that we can watch as a team to make sure that the thing works without us having to clone and run every single command. Of course, we also have a bunch of tests and unit tests and etc. But with CLIs, it's hard to see what it will look like from a unit test. We want to make sure that the yeses and the nos are handled accurately, whatever. So that's just some of what we do on a singular PR for Aspire. Oh, Fowler's correcting me in the chat. It's a terminal emulator that we use to run interactive terminal apps and record them. Thank you. That's beautiful. Hex.
Is it a terminal emulator Hex1B, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Hex1B.
I will drop the link in the chat as well.
Yeah, hex1b.dev is the site. It's this. It's awesome. So that's us using AI, right? What about building AI? Total gear switch. I know a lot of the folks who join this are Azure folks, probably have heard of Foundry. Microsoft Foundry used to be called Azure Foundry. If you have not seen Foundry yet, it is an all-in-one place to host, iterate on, build, deploy, and ship agents of any type, right? And so agents is the thing now. It's like you have an agent, whether that is a really complicated thing with logic or it is just a prompt. Those are all supportable on Foundry. And Foundry, if you go to the ai.azure.com, there's a thing in the top right. This toggle, turn that on. New Foundry. New Foundry is very nice. And Aspire makes it way easier to build things for Foundry without having to click through. So the traditional flow you'll see when you go to a Foundry demo is come into the Foundry portal and click on create and give it a name and tell it some feelings. And if you have some code, you can host it here. Click ops. Most people do that, say, okay, this is going to work for my needs. Or yes, I've now picked a model that I think is going to be good. Or I think I know the tool calls I need. Mm-hmm. Here's my app. I have this whole app. How do I hook this up now? And that's where Aspire comes in. So let me see. This agent is still very much cooking. But, talking about PR reviews, can you ping the DevOps team that we need Copilot PR reviews there too? Yeah, I've been out of the DevOps world for a couple of years now. I used to be very primarily DevOps, Azure DevOps focused, and it's been different for me to be on GitHub, but having Copilot is really nice. So, okay. So what I want to show specifically is something called hosted agents. And so hosted agents are basically an API with they expose a contract that is specific to how Foundry expects agents to work. So what this means is I'm using code to define an agent. I'm not just writing YAML or whatever or a prompt. I'm not sending a bunch of data with every request, but I am, in a similar way to MCPs, defining how this agent should look in code. So there's all these annotations. This is using Microsoft Agent Framework, which is phenomenal. It works with Python and .NET. So we're annotating this. We're saying this is a tool called Get Trip Profile. My agent should know about it. And then in the main, I wire up my endpoint that Aspire handles for me. And we'll look at that. I create a chat client. And then I say, hey, you're this trip readiness agent. Use this tool to get the traveler's info and then go from there. And this is Python. Like this is running as a Python UV app. You run UV run to get this going. And as I add more and more logic around this, I can still continue this as one specific Python app. You can do different tools and everything too. The way that Aspire works, an app host, I'm going to actually open a new one while this figures its stuff out here. Let's do, let's do this one. The way that Aspire works is you define things in code. App host, right? We'll look at this simple version of it. This is a demo app. This app
zoom a little bit. Yep.
Yeah. This is the app we use for bingo on our Friday streams. And I like to use it as a demo because it does a bunch of Aspire things. But the way that Aspire works is you define databases, caches, Azure specific deployment things. This is my Azure flexible Postgres. I'm determining the SKU and backup retention and things in code instead of Bicep. It's wonderful. I really don't know how Bicep works. So this is good for me. And then I'm pulling in code. So I have a project that is database migrations. I have a project that is a Signal R hub for my admin service so that I can see all the people playing bingo with me. I have a reverse proxy. In this case, I used YARP, which stands for yet another reverse proxy. Fun fact. And in that, I configure routes and proxying. And then I have that published as a container that hosts my front end, which during dev time, I run using Vite, right? So all of this is defined in 145 lines of code. And I can do Aspire start. Oh, let me make sure Docker is open. It might be. It might not be. We'll see. And Aspire Start reads this whole thing, figures out the right way to turn on every one of these things for my local dev, and turns them all on. Now, okay, this is a C# app host. The Foundry stuff, I'll show TypeScript. But yes, I am a big fan of regions.
It is called region-driven development.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Evil. I love it because I can. Okay, there we go. I can just say, okay, this is how I start all these things. These are all the things that are in it, and I don't have to look at the code. That's good. Okay, so Aspire Start spun everything up and started an app host and a dashboard. It's going to open on the wrong monitor. No, so I'm going to pull it over here. And this is the Aspire dashboard. Where is my... There. This is the Aspire dashboard. And the Aspire dashboard is where I see all of my resources I've defined in the app host. So the dev run front end, right? This is this Vite app. Oh yeah, Stuart. Oh my gosh. If my other demo, if the one that's building from source right now works, we will look at the sparkles. Yeah, I have my front end. I have my migrations project that ran. I can see errors for it. In this case, it failed running whatever database command. I don't know what state this repo is in, so it's fine. I can see environment that's passed between things. So all of the OTel wiring, dev certs, ports of different things, where my other backend is running. In this case, it says the admin is running on 5039. That is a hard-coded port that we put in there, but Aspire is managing the port for my front end, so I can run this multiple times and not have port conflicts. Great if you're using work trees. You click around, logs come in, traces come in. This is the Aspire dashboard. This is all just using OTel. So one terminal command, F5, and I know everything that's happening in my app. And if I go into here and I open my Copilot chat and I ask it, is my app healthy? Copilot is going to use a bunch of my skills, my Aspire skills. This is actually an older version of the Aspire skills too, to use the Aspire CLI to ping my running app. So there we go. Reading the Aspire skill, no app host. The app host is running. Oh, this is using the MCP. Hold on. So let's do this. Use the CLI. It's running on 17.193. Don't use the MCP. Sometimes you just gotta poke it, you know?
Yep.
Thinking. There we go. Inspecting. And nice. It's going to use some of the Aspire commands. Aspire describe, Aspire version. Okay. I don't know why it's doing that. Oh, this is a little glitchy. That's okay. And it can see the same thing that I can see in the dashboard, but from its context now. And without having to do, where's my browser? Without having to, oh, go ahead.
So earlier when you mentioned that we are like creating AI agent friendly tool, it's like this, like we could like visually see all these things that we are caring about in the dashboard, like traces, structured logs, whether the app is healthy, clicking here and there. But then the Aspire CLI is also exposing all those informations for the agents to be able like to query those things. And that's what you meant by AI agent friendly.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. Okay. Thank you for connecting that. I think making sure that the agent can see everything, given it the eyes, right? This is the overall arc of Aspire of the CLI, but we want to be human friendly, human first, whatever, meat bag friendly, if you will. So, you know, the dashboard is where I go to look. I'm not going to do Aspire PS format JSON and scroll through JSON to see what my resources are, but I am going to go click on a UI in my browser. There we go. But if you try to get the agent to go use Playwright or a Chrome MCP or whatever it is to look at the browser, it's going to get confused and it's going to use a lot of context and tokens as well. So yeah, let's see. This is just, everything's slow. It's all right. Why? So, okay, with the regions. Why, Pine? Because this is a beautiful, easy to read 145 lines of code that is nicely organized. Look at this. Look at this. This is beautiful. Okay. You can see it.
There's a question, if you don't mind. Like, can
Oh
Aspire be
yeah.
run for multiple work trees simultaneously? For example, having agents developing different features at the same time?
Yeah, great question. It's actually written into our skill. The Aspire CLI, when you do Aspire start, there's the concept of isolated. And so if you do Aspire start dash dash isolated, and that's what we tell the agent to do if it's in a work tree, um, it will run it with unique ports for both the dashboard and all of the resources. So there won't be port conflicts. So yes, definitely.
Okay.
I do it all the time.
And where do we like when I want to start? Is it like the Aspire init command that is just installing also the skill for us, or is it like a repository that we need to go and install it from a marketplace or clone it and things like that?
There's a few different ways. Aspire new is if you want to do just like a straight up sample project and go from there. Aspire init, if you have an existing app, you can do Aspire init, and then that will prompt you. It'll say, "Do you want to install skills?" And then you
Okay.
can say, "Yep." And you pick which folders, which types of skills you want to install it, and then we'll wire those up for you. On Monday, we're shipping the skills out of a new repo too, so you'll be able to install them as a plugin or over NPX if you'd rather do that. But for us, Aspire init, or if you already have an Aspire-ified app without the skills, Aspire agent init will just do the skills for you. That's how you get it. And then, like you'd said, there is an Aspire-ify specific skill that will add Aspire an app host and create the app host for you in your app.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
which you told me works, so it works.
Yeah.
Stand for
Yeah, as I told you, like there is a Spirify skill that I like. I was like in a weird world, and I wanted like to make everything up and running, and I was like, okay, let's give it a try and see how it works, and it actually worked. So kudos.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Okay. Is the skill aware that it's running in a work tree, or do you have to specify when spawning the agent? Usually the agent knows that it's in a work tree. So the agent reads the skill, and in the skill early on somewhere, it says something like, if you're in a work tree, you should always start with Aspire start isolated. And the agent, as it's reading the skill, will pick up that context and know, oh yeah, I'm in a work tree. Because none of
But
us
this
make
is
work
also
trees
part
manually.
of customization. Like if you want, you could also change the skill a little bit to your team's preference, and then it should be working.
Yeah, I generally wouldn't change the skill.
Yeah.
Because that means you can't use an updated one without blowing out whatever you've changed. I would add other skills or agent instructions, copilot instructions. So,
deployment skill.
There is a deployment skill. Okay, let's see if Foundry is in a better mood now. Not this one. Oh, yes, it did. Copilot fixed it. This is the best day of my life. Okay. So,
okay, breathe.
Before I went on the tangent about what Aspire is, I showed you this Foundry hosted agent. And what makes hosted agents so good, like I mentioned, is they're just code. You run them as part of your app. You can go and build them in the portal and in the Foundry portal. But when you want to pull them into your running experience, right? You can just do that as part of your Aspire app host. And because they're just code, you declare it the same way you declare a regular resource. So any Python app, any main.py you have anywhere, you can add in with Aspire with builder.add Python app. This is a TypeScript app host, by the way. So we're not in C# land anymore. No more regions. Everybody can calm down. I give it a name. I say in the dashboard, I want it to be called Trip Readiness Agent. I tell the source, the root of the source. So in this case, because it's a UV app, it's where the pyproject.toml is. And then where the entry point is, agent code main.py. Here I'm telling Aspire, the Aspire Python integration has support for UV out of the box and pip. So if you use UV or pip to manage your packages and your VN, your virtual environments, if you're not a Python person, just do UV. It's way easier, I promise. This will do the UV sync, make sure the dependencies are up to date, make sure that the virtual environment is created for you, whatever. With environment, this is how you pass environment variables to Aspire via resources. This I'm saying enable sensitive data is true. We'll come back to why I do that. And then I am referencing this chat resource. And chat is a Foundry deployment resource. So to set up Foundry, instead of going into the portal and typing all these things in, I did builder.add Foundry. This is our Foundry integration. I gave that a name for the app host. Then I did foundry.add project. Project is how Foundry groups agents. It's kind of like a resource group, but it's not a resource group. It's a little confusing. A project belongs to a resource group. So in your resource group, your Azure resource group, you have a Foundry resource.
Yeah.
And then in that Foundry resource are different projects. And then the agent belongs to the project. And then into that project, I deployed my model specifically. I'm going to call that model chat, and it's going to be GPT-4.1. Let's make it GPT-4.1 mini, because who knows how much money I have these days. We strongly type this, by the way. This is just a minor thing, but we do the same. We have Olama, we have GitHub models, we have regular OpenAI. You can just walk up with an OpenAI key. We will strongly type model names, so you don't have to know all of the parameters around it, which you usually have to do. Like I don't know. There's like 4 or 5 different things you usually have to type. So we do this for you now. It's wonderful. GPT-4.1 mini. Being new to skills, is there already a marketplace for skills, or is the normal flow to copy paste from your favorite repo?
I think there's a discussion in the chat going on. I'm just bringing up the questions and answers.
Yeah, I love it. Please.
I don't want to distract you. Just continue.
Yeah. Oh, it's a bit of the Wild West at the moment. Yes. For Aspire, use Aspire agent init, and that will pull in our skills. For everything else, there's all different ways. Yes, there's an agent package manager. There's all different things. Okay. So when I do with reference here, that tells Aspire that this Python app should know that this chat resource exists. And it just does that with environment variables. And we pass it in a way that makes sense for this type of resource, which in this case is a model deployment. And we'll look at that. And then the new API that's shipping on Monday is this thing, add as hosted agent. And this tells Aspire that this Python app is not just a Python app. It is a Python app that implements Foundry's and Microsoft Agent Framework's hosted agent protocol. I don't know what the word would be. And that hosted agent is going to live inside of this specific Foundry project. So I'm going to do Aspire start. That will deploy and provision a project to Foundry for me if it hasn't already. I already typed Aspire. When you do this the first time on a new machine, the Aspire dashboard will pop up and say, hey, I need to know what Azure sub you want to run this against. And you can just click. And as long as you have an Azure or the AZD, Azure Developer CLI, and those are logged in, it's able to infer from that. And you can like pick from dropdowns. It's very easy. You don't have to manually type in a subscription ID.
Is it using the Azure Developer CLI or the Azure CLI? Because I'm always confused which one to use. And I'm myself are always using the Azure CLI.
It's stack ranked. So it's something called default Azure credential.
Oh, okay.
And so it looks on your machine through all the different things. So if you have Visual Studio and you have Azure connected there, it will respect that as well.
Okay.
Azure CLO. Fowler, Azure CLI.
Oh, it was a typo, probably.
Yeah, I generally, for me with agents, Azure CLI is the best because there's the most docs on it. And so my agent and the Azure skills are really good. So my agent does a really good job of wielding the AZ CLI for me. But yeah, that's just generally the default. So what Aspire did, you've seen all these check marks kind of changing colors and stuff. It started a deployment into Foundry for me to provision a resource group, a Foundry instance, a Foundry project within that instance, the Azure roles I need for my Python app and for anything else that I end up building into this experience to talk to said Foundry resource, and then the chat model. And because I did with reference on the trip readiness agent, I now have all of that as environment variables. So chat underscore AI inference URI, chat underscore format. Chat is the name of the resource it's getting it from. And then format, model name, URI version. Those are individual connection properties that now I can hit in my Python, the model name, the format, etc. I have the full connection string. So literally like, there we go. the whole fully qualified one if I want to use that, enable sensitive data for the Gen AI stuff, etc. And then the information about the Foundry specific project, all of that is now getting passed in and set by Aspire. So I don't have a .env file. I did not have to do set or export or anything to get this working. If we look at the code, the Python code, I believe it's down here. Yeah, we're just doing OS get environment variable, connection strings in this case, chat model name, etc. So super easy. I did not have to like type anything to set this up. And like I said, I'm building off source, and this is like a repo I made right before this. So this is not pre-configured. Maddie, the VS Code Aspire demo was fire emoji. It sure was. I'm only able to get it working on insiders. Is that landing soon? So what I think Stuart's talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, I can get OTel from my agent itself. So when I'm here typing and saying, do this thing for me, I can also start an Aspire dashboard that watches the agent specifically. Let me just do it actually. Let's just do it. Let's do settings. So if you go into settings and you do Copilot chat, OTel? Yeah. You turn on capture content, and then you turn this one on that just enables it. You can get the OTel from your Copilot chat in the Aspire dashboard. So in a separate terminal. Oh, let me pull that here. I'm going to do Aspire dashboard run. Allow anonymous just makes it easy. So you don't have to do certs because we don't like certs. This is going to spin up the Aspire dashboard without any resources in it, because I don't have an app host, by the way, and run that on my local host. And then VS Code, if I start using the chat, so let's say, is my Aspire app healthy? It's running on, so it doesn't try to start it again, 17.282. And I'm using auto mode, so you can actually see it switch between models and stuff. It's fancy. My Aspire dashboard, this one, is now getting populated with logs from the Copilot chat itself using OTel. So this is like layers upon layers of AI. Like we are using AI, building for AI, observing our AI building for us. Like we're in like the metaverse here. But yeah, this is what Stuart was talking about. We did a demo of this on the VS Code YouTube a week or two ago, and this is only in insiders right now. Yes, I don't know when they're promoting it to stable, but they're pretty good, so it'll show up eventually. I always use insiders, so I don't actually know, but just very cool use of the Aspire dashboard here to observe what your agent is doing. I'm going to close that so I don't get confused. I'm going to go to the other dashboard, wherever that is. Okay. We talked about connection strings, environment variables. Okay. The ad.
Question. Maybe it's AI Foundry question more or less. Like this resource, I know, for example, for Azure Cosmos DB or like the storage accounts, you could also like say like run as emulator, because I don't want like to provision anything. Can I also like replace it with some like local and like, I don't know, agents or LLMs or whatever?
You sure can. You can absolutely do run as Foundry local.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, which uses the Foundry CLI. I don't know what models are in there right now, so I'm not going to try and deal with this. But that will run it in a container, or in the agent runtime. And we have the same thing. We have an Olama resource, so you can run Olama locally and then switch to Foundry or OpenAI or whatever in dev. In deploy.
Yeah,
there's a lot of different levers to wield with Aspire. Okay, so this as hosted agent extension, API, whatever you want to call it, on my Python app, not only does it wire up the environment variables for Foundry that I need, but it also does some cool stuff for me at dev time, including this new responses send message thing. So this what I'm about to show, this is like hot bits. This is shipping on Monday. If you go pull the daily Aspire build, you can use this right now. I would not try to update to a daily build of something on a Friday. Maybe just don't. Maybe just wait till Monday, you know? But this uses what we call the command service in Aspire to pop up a text box in the dashboard. So I don't have to go to the portal or whatever, or create. I don't even have a front end built yet, right? I can type my question in here. What's up? I think, this is a trip agent, so I have no idea what it's going to say to that. And then we're firing this off now to the hosted agent. It's thinking about it. This is the notification panel here. And 13.4 release date leak. Yeah, I keep saying Monday. I'm manifesting. If it doesn't ship Monday, I'm going to feel like a real idiot. But something has to ship, man. So like, it's build next week. We'll see. Always to play on Friday, yeah. Okay, and then it uses Aspire, what we call the interaction service, to pop up the response now from my Foundry hosted agent. So the text, anything I can help you with, your trip plans, and a whole bunch of different, I'm not going to say stuff. Things, yeah, stuff, things, a whole bunch of different information, metrics around what is happening beyond just the response. So for me, I use this a lot to fine tune how much content and context I'm sending to the agent, which tools I'm calling, etc. Very cool. This is super hot. And then there is the actual endpoint here that you can hit against. This is an Aspire managed port, like the other ones are. Sorry if you can hear my dog barking. It's the mailman time, 2 p.m. That's when he shows up. Okay. Then, crazy, just add to all of it. We're going to deploy this. So Control C. I'm going to do Aspire deploy -clear cache. What that says is don't use the existing deployment stuff that I told you. We do a lot of smart caching and things. So if you deploy with Aspire, especially to a dev environment, we don't redeploy things unless it's changed. And we don't ask you for your sub ID every time. It's going to take a look at everything that's going on. It's going to say, do you want me to delete the production environment? Yes, I do. Let me close some things. Let me full screen this bad boy. Okay, I'm going to pick my tenant. And the Aspire CLI has all of this this interaction built in, but it's just reading from AZ or AZD like we talked about. Okay, let me give it a resource group. I'm going to call this one RG 0 to hero. And then an Aspire integration, East US 2. So that .add Foundry, .add Python app, etc. All of those integrations know how to deploy themselves in specific environments. So right now we have an Azure integration for deploying to container apps, for app service. We have an AWS one. We have Docker Compose. We have etc. But you can also just build them all as containers. And the Foundry integration pulls in a bunch of custom steps, pipeline steps. That's these little parentheses things that say, hey, you're going to need to create a container registry for me. You're going to need to log into that container registry. You're going to need to create the Foundry resource and the project and everything in the model. And then you're going to need to create the Docker tags and push all those things. So instead of me, there's no bicep in this app, by the way. Not a single line of bicep, just this however many lines of TypeScript code. And
okay. I have a question because usually this is like the area that we get into like discussion with the infrastructure people team, that they want everything to be like either Pulumi or Terraform or like in a separate things. And this doesn't seem like it seems like magically doing things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how we could like relate these two worlds to each other.
It feels really magic, right? It's really not. There's just logic in packages. So the best thing to do to make yourself feel better is to run. I'm not going to interrupt this right now. Let me pick a different place to do that. Let's see. We have a command called Aspire Publish, which doesn't actually push the deployment. Let's do Aspire Fridays. It just creates assets on disk. And in that case, it's bicep, or it can be YAML, it can be whatever. If it's Docker Compose, it's YAML. If it's Azure, it's usually Bicep. It creates those assets and it pops them on disk for you or in the repo or whatever, which is a good way to show your ops team exactly what this will look like.
Okay. Is it also using, because I remember there were like a manifest file that could be like generated from your app host, and then like some kind of publisher providers could read this manifest file and like generate either Bicep or Docker Compose or Kubernetes files and things like that. Is it the same pipeline still, or is it changed something inside that architecture?
It's that model we've shifted so that the app host is the source of truth. There's no like intermediary manifest anymore, but there's still the ability to just like pop out a JSON manifest that you can infer from. I think it's Aspire publish -- manifest. I don't know what the command is, but
okay.
Yeah. So this is my Aspire Fridays repo, and this just put a bunch of Azure on disk or Bicep on disk for me. So if I do a new window, while this continues provisioning, is the deploy pipeline add step? Yes, it sure is. It is. You can do pipeline stuff in TypeScript now. That's all exported through the type system. So yeah, very good.
And where do you configure OTel for your agent?
Oh, Agent Framework does it for you. So if you use Microsoft Agent Framework, it's built in, which is super nice. Yeah, they don't even pull in specific OTel logic anymore. It's just by default. So when this finishes publishing, we will see that in the portal as well too.
Okay.
Nope, not the skill. So Aspire Fridays, I just did the Aspire publish. Where is it? Where did I put it? Oh, Aspire output right here. I have a bunch of Bicep now in this. Let me zoom back in. So the app host just created this, 10 folders and all the different identities and key vaults and N for Bicep, etc. And we create all that just from whatever's defined in the app host. So this is a good way to hand off to your ops team and say, like, this is the actual assets that you need. I would generally not overwrite these, because then if you change it in the app host and you regenerate it, then we lose your overwriting. So you can use the app host to change Bicep parameters within the code here. So in this case, I'm saying, like, in my, which one is this? In my reverse proxy that hosts the front end, make sure that I have a max replica set of 5, min of 1, and that there's a custom domain configured with this cert that I set up in Azure Domain Service. Scale rules, etc. All of that then gets reflected in the Bicep. So what is this called? Bingo board. Yeah. So YARP cert name, YARP domain, the container registry, all of that is inferred from what I typed in the app host there.
You have one more question. I don't want to interrupt you like too much with questions.
Oh, I love it.
But I also love like to answer the questions. That's why we are also here, like to make sure that people like gets their answer. So how difficult is it to configure detailed configuration like zone redundancy, etc.?
If the feature exists in Aspire, it's very easy. Region specific deployments or like cross region deployment, some of the redundancy stuff we're still building out. So the Azure Container Apps and Azure App Service and all different ones, the front door integrations that we have. I don't specifically zone redundancy, I don't think we have yet, but almost all of our deployment stuff that we build, I said stuff, oh my God. Almost all of the deployment features that we build are driven by internal teams at Microsoft for Azure specifically. AWS, obviously, we've had help from the AWS folks, Docker Compose. But they have a bunch of requirements like redundancy and insert secure policy here. And so we've been building out the Azure deployment experience to match what first-party teams need. And our theory is that if we can make it so that you can use Aspire to deploy within Microsoft, which is an incredibly locked down deployment, you'll probably be able to get it to work at your place.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get there. If it's not there, we'll get there. I think someone in the chat can correct me on the team, but I'm pretty sure that redundancy we don't have yet. Okay. Back to Foundry. This is now deployed. There's not much else going on. There's no other app here. It's just the hosted agent. So we'll just go into the Foundry portal to look for it. I have no idea what it called it. So let's see. View all projects. Let me go in here. RG0 to Hero. That's the resource group that we typed in. I have a project. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to go into build. And there is my agent. So created a minute ago today. Very excited. Oh, that was not the square button. That's okay. It's a hosted agent. If I click on it, I can now interact with it from this playground, which is the same responses API that we were using in the dashboard, by the way. So hello. And now this is going to start a session. I'm going to get all the logs here. I'm using 4.1 mini, so it's slow. It's okay.
Let me go through the chat if I could find any other questions.
Oh, we got a timeout. That's exciting. What's up? It's okay. Please check out blogs. Interesting. That's actually, this is a new one. I've messed up Foundry in a lot of ways, but I do like when I mess it up in a new and exciting way. Anyways, all of that OTel and such is built into the Foundry portal as well. And you can run evals against it. So that's another big thing right now is how do I know that my agent is the most efficient it can be? You can run all of that within the Foundry portal. So really, really awesome. We kind of abstract out the click ops for you. I'm not going to try and figure this out right now because I'm going to go down the rabbit hole. But did Azure AI Foundry? Yeah, they did totally steal our purple. I agree. When I saw the first mock-ups, I was like, purple? My purple? It's called Microsoft Foundry now, just FYI. But yeah. So like I said, this hosted agent stuff, that button in the dashboard and the new API in here as hosted agent and the deployment support for that, all of that ships on Monday. But everything else, you can still use Foundry and just generically deploy models from Aspire today. That works. The TypeScript app host, the C# app host, deploying Azure Container Apps, Python, JavaScript, all those things all work. The agent stuff is already in there. I said stuff again. Oh, I almost swore, but I didn't. I did a good job. The agent skills are in there, but we're having more skills ship Monday, including the deployment one, which is working really well. The Aspirify skill is in there. So if you aren't using Aspire yet and you want to use it, go to aspire.dev, follow the get started instructions. Where's my slide? This one. Follow all the get started instructions and then pull the CLI, run Aspire init in your repo, and make sure you check off the Aspirify skill, open your coding agent and say Aspirify my app, and it will do that for you. And yeah, we have a great Discord, the Aspire Discord, aka ms/aspire-discord. We have aspire.dev, the YouTube, which we're also streaming this to. A lot of our Aspire peeps are here. We stream most Fridays. We usually just try to build something or have people on from the community. And sometimes we just add Aspire to apps. Sometimes we build new features. Just kind of depends where the day takes us. And you are welcome to go into our repo and check anything out, Microsoft/Aspire. It's very open. Reach out anytime. We have a good time. How can we figure out which AI models are available to select from in Aspire? Strongly typed catalog. That's how. Code. We love code. So this is Foundry add model deployment. So I'm going to do Foundry models dot. I can literally scroll. Isn't that so nice?
Super cool.
Isn't that crazy? So there's even, there is a whole subset of local. That's cool. I didn't know that. So if I wanted to run as Foundry local, I could see from that TIL. But OpenAI dot GPT 3.5 Turbo, whatever it is. If I wanted to do like GitHub models or something, let's Aspire add GitHub here.
Oh wait, is it going to add an integration for me?
Yes, it is.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So Aspire add on the CLI or Control Shift P in VS Code at Aspire add gives you the clickable one. This will pull in an integration, which is our packages, those things in the app host that kind of define things. In this case, Aspire hosting GitHub models. Let's delete that. It's going to get mad at me. Let's delete. Actually, let's put that back. GPT 4.1 mini. And then we'll do equals builder dot add GitHub models. I'm going to give it a name. Okay. And then this needs this right in the argument. So I'm going to do GitHub models. Where's my IntelliSense? This should pull in a package for me. Nope.
Do we need
GitHub
like
dot models? Oh my goodness.
does it need to run npm install or something, or is the GitHub Aspire at GitHub is doing that?
That did that for me. What I just don't know what the using is that I need. GitHub model name, but OpenAI. Let's see. I mean, the real thing to do here is ask Copilot to fix it.
Yeah.
I don't like that didn't have the strongly typed one. Did it just add the using for me? Yeah. Import GitHub model name from the models. Okay. And then dot. Now I have the list here of all the GitHub model available ones. So we auto generate this catalog and update it regularly. So we read all of the available ones from their APIs. We create the types for them, and then we expose it to you in the app host so that it is pretty close to up to date. Yeah. So there. Hope that answers.
Okay.
And that's why we love code over YAML, because look at that. Autocomplete, baby.
Yeah. Friends don't let friends write YAML, right?
Mm-hmm. Good shirt reference.
Yeah. I have one last question myself, is that currently I could write app host in TypeScript and C#, right?
Yep.
Is there any plan for, I don't know, Go, Java, Kotlin, any other thing? Or
all of them.
Is it a spoiler? I don't know. Could you give us something?
All of them.
Okay.
Yes. I will show you in the repo. So what we did to originally Aspire was just a C# app host. We added TypeScript support. The way we added it is it using a new type system we created for Aspire that can generate any of the methods that we create in our integrations and export them. So if you look in our source code at something like, where's the Foundry one, right? Where is it? Aspire hosting Foundry is down here. We annotate all of the resources with Aspire export, and we either say ignore it because it doesn't need to be used in other languages, it's an internal thing, or export it to all the other languages with this name and this IntelliSense, which means that adding languages is literally just as easy as adding the code generators for it. So now in our Aspire hosting, we have, where did I put it? No COBOL. Please do not do this to me. Please, someone can go ahead and build that. Have a great time. Go nuts. Actually, there's an easier way to show this. What we have in preview right now, clear, Aspire config list all, is Go, Java, Python, and Rust. Those are the experimental app host languages we have. To use them, yeah, you just want to set the config here for the global CLI. So I'll do Aspire config set -g. features experimental polyglot Java. True. Good. Autocorrect. Thank you. And then when I do aspire new or aspire init, I have that option.
Oh,
So I expect you to try this out for me now, by the way.
yeah, I will do that like on Monday immediately.
Yeah. After the next release is shipped.
Yes.
Nobody touch anything right now. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. One last question. I'm always saying like last. It's just like I'm versioning my application, like final
Ooh.
version, final, and yeah.
Yeah. I wonder, is it possible to use Quadrant or any vector database to constantly index our code and feed it to an AI agent? Probably. I bet you could spin up the database with Aspire, expose the endpoints to the agent, and use that. I mean, you definitely can. I've never tried it, nor have I seen it done. So I don't know like how easy that would be to bootstrap, but that sounds like a great idea. We have docs search built into our CLI. So if you do Aspire docs search, yeah, interaction service, sure. So the agent can search with the CLI to find the slugs for URLs. I know, isn't that crazy? Instead of having to go to the Aspire website and search online, we do the search on our end in the CLI, and we use a vector database under the hood to get all of this together and then pass the slug. So the agent knows to go to aspire.dev/connect to Azure Service Bus or whatever. So yeah, multi-language support is wild. How are you able to keep the implementation in sync? The type system is unbelievable. We talked to Mads Torgerson, who does a lot of the C# language design now. He helped us with it. And Seb and Fowler and all the people on the team, we've all put a lot of work and time into making it really extensible. If you want to read the initial spec for it, it's actually on our repo under docs, specs, polyglot app host. And this explains the type system. We're using just JSON RPC under the hood. So we're running the process, and the integrations are just nougat. I could go on about this forever. Maybe one day we will just do an Aspire Fridays that is explaining how this works. And that's a great plug for folks if you're not already following the Aspire YouTube to go follow it. But yeah, this is where you want to go see the implementation. And then what we call every language is a guest language, right? So you have to create the code gen package and then implement whatever makes sense. We also have been writing a lot of tests for app host in different languages. So just FYI.
Okay, amazing. Then I think we are kind of at the end of the stream, and it's like end of the week. I wish everyone a very nice start into the weekend, and I hope you enjoyed the session. Maddy, any words from you to wrap up the session?
Aspire.dev. Download it next week. The next Monday's release. I mean, download it now, but then get it updated on Monday, and enjoy your weekend. And thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for joining our community and being here. It was an honor. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.